People ask me sometimes, why do we need a workshop on rethinking Bach? Don't we know everything there is to know about Bach after all these years? Well, the fact of the matter is that we do know a great deal about Bach, but we don't know everything. But what is crucial is that we have learned so much in the last decades, the second half of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st. Then two movements or two events took place that have changed the situation. First, the development of the early music movement, beginning in the middle of the 20th century, or really developing strongly from that point, and more recently in '89, the fall of the Berlin Wall, which made it possible for people from the West to go to East Germany, which is Bach country, and to do research in the libraries and archives of the cities where he lived and worked. As a result, we have discovered new pieces. We've discovered new letters of Bach, new details about his life, new details about the circumstances of the performances of his music, and so on. And that process is continuing. It's also important to realize that we still are, if you will, burdened by traditions that come to us from the 19th century. An example I like to give is that Bach's unaccompanied violin music was first performed in public in the 1840s, 120 years or more after Bach actually wrote the music down. However, at that point, violinists were not using Baroque violins anymore. There was a whole new kind of bow that had been invented. Much of that information that we have recently learned has not filtered down into the instruction in the studios and classrooms of the world's conservatories. And for that reason, it's important that there be a place where people can get some of that information and learn how to translate it into sound using their instruments. We decided in 2011 to inaugurate Rethinking Bach, a workshop for performers at the Aaron Copland School of Music at Queens College in New York. 3 years later, we were invited by Professor Hiroshi Yonomiya of Tokai University, the Shonan campus in Japan, that's about an hour south of Tokyo, to move the workshop there, and where we have been now for the last few years and are looking forward to continuing. Rethinking Bach, the workshop, has a special goal in trying to help those who play modern instruments interpret the music of Bach stylishly, that is to say, in its own terms, on the instruments that they know best. And this, I believe, is an important mission, and it is a way, and one can indeed make the modern violin, the modern flute, come quite close to the Baroque ancestor if one understands the style. So our workshop is above all about style. So what happens at this workshop? That's a little different from the typical summer music workshop, of which there are dozens, if not hundreds, throughout the world. First of all, an essential part of our instruction is historical background given by our faculty. We have a faculty of 8 drawn from expertise in keyboard, voice, and stringed and wind instruments. And each of them gives a talk about some specific aspect of Bach performance. Just as important, every day we have a dance class so that our participants are introduced into the physical actions of Baroque dance. They feel it, learn to feel the rhythms in their gut. And they also learn something about the culture of the time, the etiquette of the time, which is something that is an important part of this music and an important part of approaching it. In addition to that, there are several private lessons in the course of the week for each student. There are chamber music assignments made and that are coached by the faculty. And this also gives a chance to our participants to work with more than one faculty member. And sometimes there is even more than one faculty member co-coaching a piece for various reasons. And then there are occasional times when we gather for master classes, or there's a faculty concert, and at the end, a participant concert in which all of our participants contribute in some important way. One of the great joys of the workshop, in addition just to be working on the music of Bach, is the fact that we have wonderful participants. Last year there were nearly 40 full-time and part-time participants coming from 5 countries, not only Japan, but also Taiwan, from China, from the United States, and from Ecuador. This makes it for a very, very interesting amalgamation of talent and personalities and national perspectives, and people are making friendships across these national boundaries, something which is, of course, something that music can do particularly well. The participants are the stars of the final concert that is given at the end of the workshop, and everybody performs, and you will be seeing excerpts from this in the course of this video. But it's amazing what they are able to accomplish after only really 5 days of work, the 6th day being the concert.